his shoulders, right? So this is the one that holds your world on his shoulders, okay? So that one is the atlas. Now the second one is real distinctive too. It has this big tooth on top, and it is called the dens process. Dens means teeth, like dentistry, dental work. And it articulates with the atlas like this. Fits together. That's the reason you're able to swivel your head and have that range of motion. It's because you have that little process there. Okay? So know that the first one is the atlas, and the second one is the axis. Okay? And you need to know some general vertebral anatomy. And thanks to Miranda, you can actually tell what this is. If I drew it, you could. But on the posterior side, we'll get just a general one. Okay, this is a lumbar. You can tell, number one, because it's so big and thick, and because it looks like a moose. See that? Doesn't it look like a moose? She's like, no. I know you think I'm crazy, but if you look at them, the thoracic look like giraffes, and the lumbar looks like a moose. Okay? But any of them all have a general shape. They may look a little bit different than this, but this is just a generalized form. All of them have a posterior process called a spinous process. So this part right here is the spinous process. They all have processes that come out to the side, on either side. These are called transverse processes. And you'll notice, if you have a cervical vertebra, they have holes inside the transverse processes that none of the others do. Those are called transverse foramina. That's a good way to identify a cervical vertebra. Okay? If it has holes in the transverse process, that's where some really important nerves and blood vessels run up into your brain, right? That is a cervical vertebra, if it has those transverse foramina. All of them have the transverse processes. All of them have a big central portion called a body, except for the atlas and the axis. We looked at it already. Those don't have much of a body, but all the rest of them will have this big centrum or body. All of them have a vertebral foramen. That's where your spinal cord goes, right? Okay. All of them have superior and inferior articular processes. If you look at this model here, you can see they fit together kind of like a jigsaw puzzle. And the inferior process of one articulates with the superior process of the next one. So they fit together like a jigsaw puzzle. If you're looking at this side view, this would be the superior articular facet. This would be the inferior articular facet. Okay? So on top, the articular surface faces dorsally, and on bottom, the articular surface faces ventrally.
When someone says that, or when a doctor tells you you have a deteriorating disc, is that in between the bodies?
You have a disc in between here that cushions these bones from rubbing against each other, and that disc can deteriorate, it can bulge, it can get pinched, it can rupture. That's really bad, it's really super painful. And the bad thing about it is, see this is a model of the spinal cord, the little blue piece here. When that disc is gone, everything in here gets pinched. So that's why it's so very painful, is because there's so many nerves in there.
So what about when they say that you got rods, when somebody gets rods put in the back?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. I know that in a lot of cases, they will make a cage, and they actually put rods down either side, and they screw it into the body of the bone, but I don't know specifically how they do it. You can actually put cement. If you have osteoporosis, I think I've told you guys this before, but if you have osteoporosis, the tendency is you pick up something heavy and your muscles not be able to handle it, but your bones can't. And this portion, this central portion of the vertebra will crush down. That's what happened to my mom. Have you ever seen anybody with what they call a dowager's hump, where they're very far bent over? That's what happens, is these bodies get crushed down and then you can't straighten up. And if it's not too far gone, if you just have osteoporosis, they can actually put a needle in there and they can pump cement. It's not cement, but it's called bone cement. I don't know what the chemical structure is, but they actually pump it into the body of the vertebra and it can strengthen it. But if you get too far gone, the analogy the doctor gave my mom was, well, I could do it for one vertebra, it'd be like putting a rock into a sack of eggs. So you have to be very careful about osteoporosis. It's very dangerous.
The cage you were talking about, my boyfriend just had that done in July. The cage just went back to work yesterday, but like, the rods hold it open and the bone grows and fuses together. So there's no more disc.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody that had spinal surgery and was completely happy with it.
He said he feels like he still feels a little
Rowdy
bit of
can't
pain
do no.
compared to before surgery. His went
Huh?
really, really well. I've heard people that it went really, but his actually really.
My brother actually
Y'all just have to
had
watch
a
it.
disc replacement where they take a cadaver bone and they shear it down to the correct size and they put it in there and they fuse everything together. And I know in that surgery what they do is they put a plate, they go in on this side and they'll cut you here and they'll move your trachea and your esophagus side and they work from this side. And they put a plate on there and they screw it in. And he said that he can still, when he leans his head back, he can still feel that plate in there against his windpipe. And he also said when he's jogging, he can't lift his head to look up because his arms go numb. So obviously it's pinching a nerve somewhere too. But yeah, they can do some amazing things. That's a lot of weight buried.
Yeah.
Okay.
Went to the factory for like 16 years, and then he was also in the gym all the time. And then told me that he has a generative disc disease as well. But he says it's like, for him, it's better. And he knows someone who's doing
Don't make me laugh,
really
Jerry.
bad, and the bone grew out. Kind of, there's a bump on their back. Because the bone grew out as well as together.
Oh, that sounds very painful.
And they're actually on disability.
God save us from that.
I know, right?
He's over here shaking
Okay.
teeth at me.
We talked about the vertebral foramina, the arch of bone that goes over top of that foramina. If I can find my viewpoint here again. That arch is called the vertebral arch. The sides, the walls of the vertebral arch are called pedicles. The roof of the arch is called a lamina. Okay? So she's got the pedicle here in green, and the lamina here is in orange. The whole structure is called the arch. The whole is the vertebral foramina. So you need to know these terms. Know spinous process, transverse foramen, vertebral foramen, vertebral arch, lamina and pedicle, and body. Okay? Everybody good with that?
No.
I know it's a lot, but you can do it. Only on the cervical vertebra. And sometimes the last cervical vertebra doesn't have them. So you can't always rely on it 100%, but for the most part, 6 out of 7 will have it. And sometimes 7 out of 7. Okay, we talked about the vertebral arch, the foramen, the superior articular facets, that's another one, don't forget that. The inferior articular facets, the pedicle, the lamina, the centrum, the spinous process, and the transverse process. He wants you to know the cervical vertebrae, you have 7. You should learn that last test, right?
Yeah.
The C1 cervical vertebra are named with a capital C, and going from anterior to posterior, going from superior to inferior, it's just C1, C2, C3, C4, down through 7, right? The thoracic, use a T, so it's T1, T2. Lumbar is L, so it's L1, L2, and so on. And then the sacrum is designated as S1, and the coccyx is designated as CO1. Okay? C1 and C2, remember, have special names.
Atlas and axis.
Right. Okay. On the thoracic vertebra, he wants you to see that they have a giraffe. Now tell me it doesn't look like a giraffe.
It does.
Mhm.
Looks like a giraffe.
Okay. On the thoracic vertebra, he wants you to realize that there are articular facets on the transverse processes. They articulate with the ribs. See where it touches the rib right there? Okay? Those articular facets are called costal facets. Costal because it's a rib, facet because it's an articular smooth surface. Okay? Sacrum. I'm going to put the atlas and the axis over here. Not that I think you guys know how much time study.